So first of all, I'd like to call on Ed, who is the CEO of Warc Asia Pacific and has come all the way from Singapore. Please welcome Ed Pank.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sounds good. Fantastic. Thank you for my promotion, Darren. I'm actually the MD of Warc Asia Pacific, but that's very kind of you. And I work for a company called Warc. If you're British, it's Warc. If you're Australian, it's Warc, I guess, or some other version of the name. Some people actually call it WARC. It used to stand for the World Advertising Research Centre, so hence the acronym and the initials there. I'd like to start by asking a question to the audience. And there's a prize for the first correct answer. So if you think you know the answer, please put your hand up. Does anyone know why soap operas are called soap operas? I'm going to go to the lady over here. What do you think the answer is?
P&G. They used to...
Correct. Correct. Absolutely right. It was a concept developed by P&G on radio in the 1920s, and then they evolved that form of branded content onto television. Yeah? So, sorry, what was your name? Lillian? Lily.
Yes.
Thank you. There's a free copy of AdMap for you. Thank you very much. Well done, Lily. And the point to that is that branded content has been, or content marketing has been around for a very, very long time. But it's only really in the last couple of years that it's become one of the hottest topics in marketing. And there are many definitions, and I'm sure we're going to debate some of those with the panel later on and the further presentations. There are many definitions. But I would like, first of all, I would like to ask the question on why content marketing matters. Well, advertisers have been talking about engagement for over a decade now, but content marketing allows many more opportunities for advertisers to engage with consumers, and content really provides that. With channel fragmentation, there are many, many more opportunities to deliver content marketing type solutions. In terms of content is king, I heard this said the other day, then distribution has to be queen. So access to more and more content channel options allows advertisers to reach consumers many more times than they would do with an advertising-driven strategy. And smartphones exacerbate that opportunity. And we heard from some research from Mill Brown last week that actually the dominant screen in Australia is now the smartphone. I think that's really interesting. The rise of social media means that advertisers are now focused on earned media and sharing and encouraging their messages to be shared out between consumers, and search. So content strategies are important for search-dependent businesses because Google prioritizes sites that are content-rich and update themselves very regularly. And content marketing is set to rise in 2014. So this is some research that was done by the Content Marketing Institute in conjunction with King Content. And you can see a consistent pattern across Australia, UK, and North America. People are spending on content marketing. But when you look at, I just need to take the phone out of my pocket because I can feel people tweeting, which is always a good, which is always a good sign, and it's going to put me off through the course of the presentation. But when we look at the look into the data and we look at the B2C marketers in North America, and the percentage that claim to be using content marketing is 90%. But those that actually have a documented content strategy are only 39%. So people are doing it. People are spending money on content marketing, but they don't have a strategy. So that says a lot. And when you look at, in terms of how much they rated in terms of effectiveness, you can see it's only quite effective. So I think there is a lack of confidence when it comes to content marketing. And hopefully through the course of today's presentation, we can provide you with some tips and some advice about how to embark on a content marketing journey. Okay. This is the old model of, it's been around for a while. I like it. I like it because it helps to deconstruct how content marketing can work. So you see the paid, owned, and earned model. Content marketing really sits in the owned media segment, so leveraging a brand's own assets or creating new ones. The earned media is kind of how you get that to go viral, how you amplify it through the shares, the retweets, the comments, the plays, whatever that might be. And paid media is also very important because that's the way that you can seed a lot of this content marketing. Very difficult for messaging to go viral on its own. And we see a lot of cases of this being activated through search, PR, social, even traditional advertising. And there's this new thing called native, which we'll talk about today, which is when brands can embed their message in the editorial environment of a publisher. And we're seeing a huge rise in that as well. So I quite like this model of paid, owned, and earned. And of course, everything needs to hang around a central brand idea for it to be a concerted marketing effort. Most of this seminar today and this presentation is pull marketing. So I'm kind of drawing you guys into what we want to talk about in terms of content marketing. This is the push marketing bit, so just bear with me just a second. But just for those that don't know Warc.com, I wanted to talk about it just to give you a bit of context for who we are. So we're a knowledge service online. We aggregate and crowdsource best thinking in communications from around the world. 8,000 case studies, Journal of Advertising Research, lots of different content partners, really enabling our clients to access rich and relevant information very quickly and very easily. And content marketing is a very topical topic in that regard because everyone's trying to work out how to do it effectively, how to measure it, and we provide some insight into that. I have drawn from material on Warc, our Content Revolutions Trend Report, our best practice guide to Content Marketing 101 and various case studies to hopefully bring to you a cogent presentation on how to become an effective content marketer. So that's the push marketing bit. Let's go back to the pull marketing. Okay, 6 approaches for effective content marketing. The first 3 I would like to take together. Now, I think there are 3 broad approaches to content marketing. They're not mutually exclusive, and in many ways, they dovetail one another. The first one is be campaign-led, and there are lots of examples of brands using content marketing to replace advertising, and that's quite interesting. Another one is be social-led, when brands want to have a continuous presence on social media. What is the drip feed strategy to be able to enable that socially led strategy? And the third one is be customer-led. Focus on your customer and think about your path to purchase and how content marketing can impact that path to purchase through acquisition, conversion, and retention. The fourth one, make your content discoverable, because let's face it, there's no point having content if people can't find it. So what are the tricks and tips for that? I believe the success in content marketing requires long-term thinking. There's no point just dipping your toe in the water. If you're going to be committed to this, it requires discipline, and it requires structure and a process to be able to succeed and scale your content marketing. And the 6th most important point is pull, don't push, because consumers, we know, they don't really trust push marketing anymore. Okay, 6 approaches for content marketing. Be campaign-led. There are lots of examples on Warc.com of campaigns that are using content marketing campaigns to replace advertising, and they're activating them through maybe advertising, through PR, through social, and many other ways. Here is an example of a campaign that hopefully you guys won't have seen before. It's for a fashion label called Only from Denmark. And what they did is they came up with a campaign. Basically, it's an interactive video. And what it does, it serves as, well, lots of things. It serves as a catalog, a game, a music video, an on-demand video retail environment. So working in lots of different ways. And in terms of its results, it dramatically increased web traffic, and it reversed a stagnating sales trend. So let's have a look at the case.
For the launch of the Only Jeans 2012 collection, we wanted to create a whole new way for our teenage girl audience to interact with the brand. The result was The Liberation, an online interactive film experience. It is a fashion catalogue, a movie, a game, a music video, and the world's first on-demand video retail environment. This is how it worked. The entire experience was built around a story of rebellion. 3 girls roll into a sleepy town looking for trouble. As you watch the film, you can start interacting with it. With a simple click at any time, the film freezes on a preloaded high-res still and then turns into an interactive catalogue. Every item of clothing has been tracked, and from here you can like, browse, pin, tweet, and buy. As you carry on watching, you are invited to interact with the action of the film, moving the story forward. You can steal a pair of jeans. And if you're lucky, the experience crosses over into a reality and the jeans are sent to your home free. You get to sneak a peek at a hot guy getting undressed in the woods. Another treat is the music. The soundtrack was made dynamic, enabling it to sing and flow seamlessly throughout the entire interactive experience.
Feelings too.
You can download the soundtrack Let Go by Swedish breakthrough artist Loon as you watch her perform in the final scenes of the movie. Finally, you get to help the girls hightail it out of town in their car. At the end, your personal experience is summed up in a bespoke catalogue, so you can revisit the clothes you looked at, shop, share, download music and wallpapers. We launched with a 30-second teaser and on-set bloggers. A thorough PR campaign kept us front page on fashion blogs across Europe. And within 2 weeks, we had over 280,000 visits and a 442% increase on interaction with Only.com.
What do you guys think of that? It's great, isn't it? I think it's, I mean, obviously it's very expensive. And I'm sure we'll get on to talk about that. Yeah. But I think it's fair to say that that approach would have been cheaper than had they done a big budget, you know, traditional paid advertising type model. So, and there's another case I can go on to talk about in terms of budget and how they've made some savings there. What I really like about that campaign actually is they've baked in a commercial element to the campaign, and we all know how difficult it can be to measure content marketing. And if there is a sales component integrated into the idea, and you can see the effectiveness of that coming through, then it's much easier to prove the return, right? And it's much easier to win the argument to invest more in content marketing. So that's why I like that campaign. Okay, the second point is be social-led. So brands with a strong media presence require a steadier stream of content than a campaign-led approach might allow. And often they will vary the content format, so they might tell stories through videos or infographics or blogs. They might host debates or create relevant opinions. And here's an example of a brand doing exactly that. So General Electric, they're drip-feeding content via social media. And Beth Comstock, the CMO, she describes GE now as a content factory. And what is really clever about it is that they are turning data, opinions, and stories from inside its organization into different content formats. And she says, this idea of opening the insights of your company and turning it into content is something we feel very passionate about. We had to expand our definition of content. I think this is a really interesting example. GE, a massive business around the world, one of the world's largest businesses, a massive B2B marketer, but properly getting into content marketing of this scale. Okay, third up, be customer-led. How can you align your content marketing with the path to purchase? So 3 broad marketing objectives of acquisition, conversion, and retention. So during acquisition, great content attracts eyeballs, drives brand awareness, encourages sharing and reach. Corporate websites, product videos, and consumer reviews all help drive consideration and conversion. And then when it comes to retention, email campaigns and content communities like Amex's Open Forum have been keeping customers sweet in terms of retention, referral, and repurchase for many years. So 3 ways that you can align content marketing with the path to purchase. Those of you from the UK or spent time in the UK will know that Marks & Spencer is a leading UK retail brand. And they use video to convert customers. And they do it prolifically, actually. They launched M&S TV in 2009, Portal Online, and it's very closely associated with their e-commerce site. So you can actually access video content relating to stuff that you're thinking about buying. They're also integrating video in store, mobile app. If you need a bit more information about a collection that you're interested in, you can get that on your mobile app. And they're also trialing 70-inch screens in store, along with sales personnel who are armed with iPads, who can then provide extra information about particular ranges or collections or whatever the customer is interested in. If it's out of stock, they can buy there and then. So before you think that actually this type of in-store video could be quite irritating and is kind of push marketing, actually it's proven that those who saw the videos had a basket size increase of 25%. So inspiration in this case really works. And they use video in lots of different ways. You know, they have this big budget TV campaign every year, 90 seconds, filled to the brim with celebrities. But what they do now is they chunk it up. Not just doing a kind of a making of, but they interviews with the celebrities, the makeup artists, the post-production, and they really use content in that way to drive the whole campaign. And they're also embedding video into paid advertising, PPC opportunities, rich media, online. So they're using video across the board. Burberry, a leading luxury fashion brand, is actually becoming a leader in digital marketing. Would you have it? So 3 examples of how they've aligned their content marketing with the path to purchase. These aren't sequential, by the way. I've kind of cherry-picked them to make the point, but I think they're interesting nonetheless. So acquisition. Tweetwalk was an opportunity to take their fans around to the backstage at the London Fashion Show. They also streamed the fashion show live on Facebook HD, and there was an opportunity to buy stuff there and then. In terms of conversion, they have a social blog called The Art of the Trench. And this encourages users to upload photos of the iconic garment onto the blog. And then it's that personal recommendation thing, which actually works as a conversion mechanism. And retention, this is really cool. So their high-end products, like their Macs or their bags, they're now embedding a chip, which you can scan through your mobile phone. And this will give you the backstory in terms of how the actual article was made, giving a highly personalized customer experience. Okay, number 4, rattling through these. Make your content discoverable. As I said at the top of the presentation, content cannot be expected, I don't think, to go viral on its own. We'd all love it to go viral on its own, but it just doesn't happen. There are a few outliers out there, but let's face it, they are outliers. It's not the norm. So what are the ways that you can actually seed your content marketing? This includes, obviously, native search, social PR, combination of this. It'll all depend on what your campaign is about and what are your objectives. And sometimes content may be relevant to different targets at different times. And I think this is really interesting. You're seeing this mashup of content strategies and social strategies coming together to make sure that content is seen by the right people at the right time. And that's a really interesting area. And native, embedding your content into the editorial environment of a publisher is becoming more and more popular. I think it remains to be seen how far this can be scaled. I think the social media platforms is easier to scale, but if you have to invest that amount of time in individual opportunities, say Sydney Morning Herald or the Huffington Post, that requires a lot of time and energy, so it's difficult to scale it across platforms. But when we look at the spend, this is data from 2013, a study by BIA Kelsey, and you can see the relationship between social display versus social native. 1.6 billion, this is in the US, 1.6 billion US dollars spent against social native. And 2017, 5 years' time, that is set to treble. Yeah? So it's a massive, massive growth area. Okay, this is a really interesting example of how to get your content discovered. Viagra. So the thing about Viagra was men, the principal buyers of Viagra, a little bit embarrassed to go to the doctor. So try Googling it online, like to buy some Viagra. And chances are they would come across sites that would be selling cheap, fake Viagra. So what can Pfizer do to combat that? They come up with a search and content strategy to intercept that path to purchase and to make it clear to people that actually you may not be buying what you think you're buying, and actually this is how fake Viagra has been made. Let's have a look.
They would produce the tablet in the bathroom next to the toilet, put them in blisters, put the Pfizer logo on it, put the Pfizer name of the product, and then they sell it on the internet, and then they ship it out all over the world.
There are a lot of traditional drug traffickers that have switched to counterfeit prescription drugs because the risk of detection is much lower.
Viagra is a fairly distinctive looking tablet. So when somebody makes a counterfeit and wants to trick somebody into believing that it is a Pfizer product, they make it look as close to the original product as they can.
These counterfeits now have foils, have holograms, have any sort of trademarking that you would tend to look for.
Counterfeiters are cashing in.
We take you behind the scenes of makeshift labs that have been raided for counterfeit Viagra.
An interesting way to combine search and content. Chobani is a brand that's in Australia, correct? Yogurt brand, yeah. So this is an example of how content discovery is evolving. So when users search for recipes, they will discover relevant Chobani content on those sites, and that meets their specific search objectives. And this is a quote from their senior content manager. Chobani is a 6-year-old company that was founded by one man and $0 marketing dollars. And so the company was all built on social and digital and no advertising for the first several years. How about that, building a brand without any advertising dollars whatsoever? Okay, the sixth approach for effective content marketing. Success requires long-term thinking. And this is really the point that if you're going to get into content marketing and do it properly, you need to come up with the right infrastructure and the right process to be able to do that internally. It may be setting up a support team with an agency or building in-house teams. There are lots of examples of both. Several brands, particularly those targeting young consumers, are building multimedia entertainment properties. Red Bull, for example, or Absolute Vodka are also building an entertainment property with artists. And the interest in broad entertainment is throwing up interesting business models. So BBH, a London headquartered agency, is working with Perfetti von Melle, who are the confectionery manufacturers behind Chupa Chups, you know, the lollipop. And they have the character Chuck Studios. And they have the character Chuck, and they've developed off that Chuck Studios, which is a way of expanding out the IP of Chupa Chups. And they are working with various gaming companies to develop gaming experiences using Chuck and using their fan base. So throwing up interesting business models all the time. And we're seeing the brands are becoming newsjackers. So real-time marketing is allowing them to do this. But they're not doing it just in a kind of lucky ad hoc kind of way. They are setting themselves up to be able to respond real-time. The Oreo, you can still dunk in the dark, wasn't just a happy accident. They were set up to be able to respond real-time to any situation that was happening in the Super Bowl. And that's why they could actually come out with that. They were also, I think, had the infrastructure in place from the 100 Years Young campaign, which I'll go on to show you in just a second. Coca-Cola, they're also setting themselves up as content marketing experts, hiring coders and people to work on this in-house. And this has been summed up by some commentators as moving from a 360-degree approach to a 365-day approach. Okay, so this is a couple of years old, but I still think it's interesting. And it'd be interesting to debate whether we think this is content marketing or do we think this is advertising. Question for the panel maybe a bit later on. But anyway, the situation here was that Oreo were 100 years old. So how do you celebrate a centenary when you've already got a bit of a sort of a bit of a dated traditional brand image? So they came up with this Daily Twist campaign of celebrating the fact they were 100 years young, 100 days of content, 100 pieces of content in 100 days. And phenomenal results, I have to say. If I just call out some of these stats. So big volume market in the US, they grew their market share by 4%, which is phenomenal. In terms of media impressions, 231 million media impressions from this campaign I'm about to show you. And this is interesting. Everyone's going to say, yeah, that looks really expensive. Yeah, it is expensive. But according to the case study, it costs 28% less than the previous big budget campaign. Yeah? So let's take a look.
Little girls have pretty curls, but I like Oreo.
Oreo recently celebrated a big birthday. Really big. Turning 100 can mean just one thing. You're old. Really old. Unless you give it a twist. The Oreo Daily Twist. A simple idea to make this old brand a vital part of pop culture, the digital world, and everyday conversation all at once. 100 pieces of content created in 100 days. In honor of the 100th birthday. 100% responsive. Here's how it worked. Every morning, we searched for what people were talking about. Once concepts were developed, there was a full production team waiting to execute. By 6 p.m., we pushed the day's twist out to Oreo's 30 million Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter followers and archived it on Oreo's online hub. How do we kick it off? Well, maybe you heard about that.
Oreos are gay.
Monday night, Oreo posted this on their Facebook page.
New rule, wingnuts have to stop saying they're going to boycott Oreos because they made a gay cookie.
But we didn't stop there, and neither did the fans. In just 100 days, we turned an old cookie into an icon. Oreo didn't just reflect the news, it became the news. And we made 100 years old look pretty young.
Another example from Adidas. This was, they were about to launch 2 major new products. They were endorsed by 2 stars from the NFL. By the names of 2 gentlemen by the names of Robert Griffin and Derrick Rose. Just before the launch was about to happen, they suffered calamitous injuries. So tearing their kind of knee, leg ligaments. So what do you do? Massive marketing disaster. But what they were very clever at this. They then spun it on its head and turned this into an opportunity by creating content through videos about the story of the injuries, the pain that they were going through, and their journey of recovery. So actually, because they kind of opened themselves up to kind of really what was going on and they brought the consumers with them, it became a very, very engaging story as a result. So evolved from a marketing disaster into another great opportunity to engage their fan base. So 3 things that I pulled out of Warc's content marketing best practice guide in terms of how to achieve real-time success. Align content with long-term brand narrative. You've got to remember that actually, content marketing, whatever you're doing, has to be part of the concerted effort of your overall marketing activities. That's really important, and you've got to stay true to that. Real time is more than being timely. Through the course of 12 months, you kind of know some of the stuff that's going to be coming up, right? So you can plan ahead. You can create your own editorial calendar, and that gives you a bit of time to be able to respond to some of the ad hoc stuff that just comes along. Evaluate before you react. So Edelman PR agency came up with 3 questions you need to ask before you embark on a real-time marketing opportunity. Is it relevant? i.e., does it fit with what your brand stands for? Does it resonate with the audience? If you've mapped your target audience, you'll know what they'll be interested in. And will it resonate with them? And is it timely? Will it drive the conversation right here, right now? So 3 important questions to ask. Okay, so the 6th approach to effective content marketing, pull, don't push. Ladies and gentlemen, consumers don't trust push marketing anymore, unfortunately. And those of you back, you won't be able to read any of this, but what I will do is I'll call out some of the things that are on this chart. So some data from Forrester. Consumers trust self-selected content more than push. What do they trust? They trust brand or product recommendations, professionally written online reviews, consumer-written online reviews, natural search engine results, insofar as search engine results can be natural, and information on websites or companies or brands, as opposed to emails from companies or brands, ads on websites, SMS marketing. So you kind of, you get the picture. So pull marketing, I think, offers this value exchange between the customer and the brand, whereby what the brand is offering is so compelling that the consumer is willing to exchange their attention, their interest, loyalty, and even money sometimes to interact with that brand. So when it comes to your approach, make sure you're authentic and lead with content, not product. Authenticity is really important. And tell relevant, useful, and entertaining stories. And here's an entertaining story. So this is JetBlue Getaways. And they created a game show host online that entertained people, encouraged them to participate through Skype. And because it was so entertaining, they could pull people in. They could also push out their promotional travel getaway messages within it. And it's perfectly acceptable. It comes back to that value exchange. What am I getting out of it? And then am I okay to receive a promotional type of message? Before we get on to that, and did anyone see that First Kiss campaign last week? What do we all think of that? Did you all think it was just a piece of content, or did you think there was a brand behind it? Yeah. No, same. It was, well, I looked yesterday, 60 million hits on YouTube. And I heard that some people felt a bit duped, actually, that it was from a fashion retailer and that they paid actors to kind of do the kissing, and it wasn't that stage. But I think, actually, you've interest people, you've engaged them, so actually it's fine. It's okay if there is a brand behind it. I mean, that's what good content marketing is about, right? Anyway, JetBlue Getaways, let's get back to that. Really entertaining case study. Let's take a look.
Quiet, stand by, call it.
Class, please.
What you got?
Go ahead, Mark.
Super game show host.
Oh, no. No. Oh, that's not working. That's not even at all.
When JetBlue first pitched me to be the face of their Getaways brand, naturally I said no. I mean, what in Sam heck is JetBlue Getaways anyway? Instead, to build awareness of the new brand, I, Mark Hammerberg, created Get Away With It, all by myself. The first ever online game show featuring a real set that contestants could appear live on by Skyping in from home.
Where are you Skyping from?
Florida.
Portland, Oregon.
I'm actually Skyping you from Germany.
A perfect fit for a brand that hangs its hat on putting people first. Giving real folks a chance to win real JetBlue Getaways vacation packages.
Carol! Congratulations!
Get Away With It was broadcast live from a set in New York City.
5 seconds to opening. Rolling video.
But anybody with internet access or a smartphone could tune in, with contestants streamed in on plasma screens to compete against one another and answer trivia questions about travel and JetBlue Getaways consumer benefits.
With JetBlue Getaways, it's easy to save serious green on vacation packages. What state are the Green Mountains located?
C, Vermont.
Correct. 100 points. You're on the board.
The show went live June 18th, with 5 episodes a day for a week. 25 real live games total. Like live.
Don't answer that phone. Uh-oh. We've lost Mary.
We needed contestants, so we employed a sophisticated mix of charisma and mustache to encourage people to sign up. Of course, I did all of this myself. Subsequent emails and add-to-calendar functionality reminded people when to come back to play. Rather than just treat Get Away With It like an advertising idea, JetBlue broadened their media strategy to align with what real shows do. My idea. And I took to the streets of New York and Boston to encourage people to get away with it. The plan also included page takeovers, where people were encouraged to give me a hearty round of applause. The media picked up on us almost immediately.
We have tweets coming in again.
Love me tweets.
I am willing to trade my left leg for a spot in Get Away With It.
Some even wondered if they could be witnessing the future of gaming. It's trademarked, people! In the end, I wasn't sure if the grand prize belonged to the winners or JetBlue Getaways, with the numbers just obliterating the projections. I mean, through the roof. JetBlue Getaways was able to show everybody a little bit about who they are and what their vacation packages offer in a way that only they could.
You win this thing, I want you dancing up and down that staircase, but safely. Congratulations!
By putting real people first.
You're getting away with it!
Thanks for watching.
Great, isn't that? Okay, and then brands are trying new format as competition for eyeballs grows. So a lot of publishers have been doing content marketing or principles behind content marketing for a very long time. So this is one example where Maybelline, the brand from L'Oreal, took inspiration on the bite snack meal publishing concept. So they created a 90-second film, video, and that was the meal. They then created photos and quotes, and they could put that out as bites, and then animated GIFs or teasers were used as snacks. So interesting to take some of the principles that are on play in the media owner publishing world and apply them to content marketing as well. We're also seeing a lot of polarization in terms of video content creation. So on the one hand, you see the big production pieces that I've shown, but also there's a lot of short form stuff. And this is an example from General Electric again, and they created a 6-second fair, so asking people through Twitter's video platform Vine to create science experiments in under 6 seconds. And they had a great response. They got 600 entries in just under a week. And they can then take that content and curate it and do all sorts of stuff with it. As Beth Comstock, CMO of GE, put it, sometimes you want 40 million people to connect with, and sometimes you only need 4,000. So it's an example about how content video can drive micro relevance. And in terms of social and video content growth, well, if you look at video content growth, first of all, if we do an analysis of case studies on Warc, this has risen just online video on its own, 23% in 2010 to 38% in 2013. And then this chart shows the important distribution vehicle of social. So it's a combination of social and online video. 31% of case studies use both channels, up from 13.8% in 2010. And this trend is likely to continue as social networks roll out their own video products. Okay. And in terms of brand journalism, I'm sure we'll talk about this through the course of the day. And this is a concept that's been around for a very long time. But this really kind of plays to the pull rather than push approach. A brand journalist starts by asking what people want to know about an industry or an area of expertise, not what a brand wants to tell its consumers about its products. I'm getting the wind-up signs from Darren, so I'm almost done. Those are the 6 approaches for effective content marketing. Be campaign-led, social-led, that drip feed of content going through as a content factory. Align your content marketing to the path to purchase. Make sure your content can be found by your consumers, and there are ways to seed that through search, through social. most important of all, I think, is if you're going to do this successfully, you need to set yourselves up the right infrastructure and the right process to be able to deliver this content marketing. And pull, don't push. So for us at Warc, content marketing is a strategy rather than a tactic. And obviously, it'll depend on the objectives and your brands and your categories in terms of the type of strategy that's right for your brand. But that's what I have for you today. And if anyone would like any more information about any of the cases that I've referred to in here, you can actually access them online at warc.com/trial, where you can download some of the case studies that are available. So thank you very much for listening.